All right, guys, so I'm sorry, hold on. Hello, it's Stephanie Adams with SOS Solutions. Okay, now we got that out of the way. I am always learning, and when I learn, I like to share that information. And I happen to have learned something recently that I never knew existed. Now, I work with a lot of mortgage lenders, and mortgage lenders, when they are trying to obviously give a mortgage or get people qualified for a mortgage, they tend to have a system that provides them what's called a tri-merge credit report. That means it's all three of your credit reports all merged into a big file that displays all your credit information. But with that technology, normally comes something called a simulator, where they kind of have access to the algorithms that the bureaus will have. They don't know specifically which one, and there can be, some ups and downs in the system when you're trying to simulate. But it's a really cool simulator, and it's really, really close when you play with it. And a mortgage lender, if they know credit really well, they can simulate what you need to do. If they don't know credit really, really well, then they don't simulate what you can do. But most of the time they have this simulator. And I'm telling you, when I first started in this business, it was my favorite thing to play with. So I would get a credit report, I would sit with a loan officer, and I would say, okay, if we take this away, or we do this, or we add this, or we pay this down, what happened with the credit score? And you can do it by bureau. And it was such a fun tool, and it really helped me learn how the different things that we're doing with credit, how it actually would shake out in a credit score. Well, I still have access to this stuff, but I wanted to pass this information along because I didn't realize that my FICO actually has something like this out there for the public. Now, it's not going to give you an exact score, and if you don't know what's on your credit report, this is going to be a little bit difficult to use, but I really, really, really love this tool. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to run you through two scenarios. One of a person who had bad credit for a little while, about 4 years ago, and since then they have not reestablished credit. They don't even want to use credit, which, not that I blame them, but they don't even want to use credit, and they want to know about where their credit score could potentially be. And then I'm going to run you through somebody who has a lot of collections, or a decent amount of collections, and they're trying to rebuild credit. So they've got some inquiries in there, and then they have maxed out the credit cards that they have been given. And we'll play around and see the differences in the scores. It's going to give you a range at the end, but still a very cool tool to kind of give you an idea of what the FICO score looks like. Because I get this a lot from people who are looking at their Vantage scoring models. If they're doing it through Identity IQ, or they're doing it through Credit Karma, or they're doing it through, any service. Oftentimes they're looking at their Vantage scoring model and not their FICO scoring model. So this is provided by FICO as a free service. I will leave you the link down below in the description. Let's take a look at these two scenarios. So here we are, my FICO. So the cool thing about this simulator, it's not going to get super, super in depth, but it's probably going to give you pretty close accurate of where your FICO score is. So we're going to go to myfico.com/FICO-credit-score-estimator/estimator, because that was definitely properly named. All right, so here we are. This is what it looks like, guys. It is part of my FICO, and it is totally free. So if you are trying to figure out maybe where your FICO scores might be, this is great. Now, mind you, I have just learned about this myself. So, when I learn, I share. So here we go. We're going to answer some questions, and I think we're just going to run through this a couple of times just to see kind of where things even out. So, your first question, how many credit cards do you have? 1, never had a credit card. 1, 2 to 4, 5 or more. I'm going to say I never had a credit card. How long ago did you get your first loan? So you can say, my last loan was 5 to 10 years ago. So we're going to do this on a profile saying, hey, I don't actually use credit, just to see what happens. How many loans or credit cards have you applied for in the last year? We're going to say none, because we're going to be one of those people that doesn't like using credit. So this is what we're going to run for this first simulator. How recently have you opened a new loan or credit card? It's been more than 6 months ago. We haven't opened anything. How many of your loans or credit cards currently have a balance? None, because we haven't opened anything. Besides any mortgage loans, what are the total balances on all other loans and credit cards combined? We're going to say I only have a mortgage loan or less than 500. We'll say this one. I don't know. When did you last miss a loan or a credit card payment? We'll say, let's kind of say I had bad credit years ago, and so it stopped me from using credit. So we'll say more than 4 years ago. I just want to see what this says. What is the most delinquent you've ever been on a loan or a credit card? We'll say more than 90 days. It says ever, so I'm hoping that gives us an idea of a person in this scenario. How many of your loans or credit cards are currently past due? None, because I don't use credit. What percent of your total credit card limits do your credit card balances represent? We're going to say 0 to 9. In the last 10 years, have you ever experienced bankruptcy, repossession, or an account in collections? In the last 10 years, we'll say, yeah, sure, why not? If so, how long ago did the most recent negative event occur? 3+ years ago. Because remember, we said 4 years was the last time. So this is what your credit score, your FICO score, could potentially be according to the FICO score estimator. All right. So again, I kind of base this on somebody who is totally against using credit just to see what their credit score would be. We'll just use that scenario that, they had bad credit years ago and then kind of turned them off to credit. So basically what we'd be saying here is at one point they did have credit over the past 10 years, but they don't really use it now. So this is what their score would be, or what it's saying that their score would be. Now, this is not an exact science, but it is coming from my FICO, so it should give you a pretty good detail of what your scores are. All right, let's start over. All right, so let me give you a scenario on this one. We will say that somebody is trying to rebuild their credit, but they've got a ton of collections on here, okay? So let's go with that one. And they've got high credit card balances, okay? We're going to say high credit card balances. They're rebuilding their credit, and they've got a ton of collections. All right, how many credit cards do you have? We're going to say that they have 2 to 4. I don't know, guys. Let's just play with this. How long ago did you get your first credit card? Let's say they have an 8-year history. We'll call them pretty young. How long ago did you get your first loan? I don't know. I didn't think this deep about this. So we're going to go with 5 to 10 years ago. Whatever. We'll give them a little bit of that 15% history I'm always talking about. How many loans or credit cards have you applied for in the last year? Now, I did say that this person was probably going to be trying to rebuild their credit. So I'm going to say they went a little crazy on the inquiries, and we'll go with 6 or more. How recently have you opened a new loan or a credit card? We'll say that it was less than 3 months ago. We got new ones because we're trying to rebuild credit. How many of your loans and or credit cards currently have a balance? All of them. So we'll say 5 to 6. Besides any mortgage loans, what are the total balances on all other loans and credit cards combined? So remember, I said we're going to say that this person is maxing out the cards that they have. Now, I didn't say anything about what the balances were. So basically what FICO is doing is they've got a scorecard activated in the background here. We've activated it in something, and they're trying to drag out of us how much money you guys actually owe. So let's mess around with this a little bit, and we'll say we owe $1,000 to $4,999. When did you last miss a loan or a credit card payment? So we're trying to rebuild. So we're going to say, let's say 1 to 2 years ago. Okay. What's the most delinquent you've ever been on a loan or credit card? We're going to say more than 90 days late just to see, because it said ever. How many loans or credit cards are currently past due? We'll give this person the benefit of the doubt and say they're on time. What percent of the total credit card limits do your credit card balances currently represent? Now, we said we're going to max out these cards, so we're going to go to 90 to 99%. In the last 10 years, have you ever experienced bankruptcy, repossession, or account in collection? Absolutely, because I have a ton of them. If so, how long did the most recent negative event occur? So I'm going to say that it was probably pretty recently. So let's go with less than a year. I'd say that's pretty accurate on FICO's calculator. 530 to a 580 is probably what you can expect if you're in this particular position. So I think this is just a really cool tool to play around with. Okay, again, so it's not an exact science, but it is a very cool tool to kind of give you a range of where your score is potentially starting at before you start on your credit repair journey, and where it could be when you're done. So if you're one of the people who are watching this video and they don't want to pay for credit monitoring, and they want to just pull your 3 annual credit reports or get your information, some other way, you can still take the information that is contained within your credit reports, drop it into this simulator, and give yourself an idea of where you are now. And then when you're done doing your credit repair, when you've completed your process or gone as far as you want to go, you can put that information again into this simulator and kind of see where you are. So I work a lot with people who are doing mortgages. I think this is a fantastic tool, and I wanted to pass this on to you guys. So if you got some cool information out of this video, please make sure that you subscribe and leave me a like or a comment or something. Tell me you love me. Okay, don't. But if you're pretty pleased with what you saw, please make sure that you are following along. You guys, I will see you in the next video. Take care.